and welcome to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection. I'm Jeremy Qualls, my co-host Tate Mathews. As always, Tate, it's been a big week for the WCS Sports Conference. We started off this week with Brentwood winning their 11th state championship, 3 in a row. They finished the season 51-3, ranked 24th nationally right now. In Barb, we trust.
Unbelievable. I think Charlie Harper from Brentwood Academy Track and Field and Cross Country, the two combined, has the most state championships of any head coach in TWSAA history. He's right at about 16, maybe 18. Carlton Flatt, 10. Gary Rankin and George Qualls, 10 and 11. Obviously, Barbara Campbell at 11. And she doesn't seem like she's getting out anytime soon. She could possibly make a run for the most state championships of any coach in any sport. And volleyball, it's just unbelievable.
You know, we've talked about all year long that this is the hotbed of volleyball here in the WCS Sports Conference. Not only that, Barbara Campbell right now, as it sits, is ranked second nationally in overall wins. Here's the thing about it. She's going to graduate 3 in the starting rotation.
It's unbelievable.
One of her better players right now is the Eggleston girl. She's a freshman, playing really well. Sophomore front line girl, name escapes me, but right now they're looking to bring this young team back. Could possibly get a 5-peat out of this.
That's right. They don't rebuild, they reload, and that's the other thing. She'd be the first one to tell you. 11 state championships, that means there's been a lot of very quality players go through that program over the years. It's fun to watch.
Brentwood Bruins right now, by no secret at all, sitting in first place in the Directors' Cup by over 80 points right now over Ravenwood. And we still have points coming in, of course, with football coming on. Here's a nice little stat, Tate. WCS Sports Conference has 5 sanctioned TWSAA fall sports. There have been 3 tournaments so far. We have qualified for all 3. The 2 that have championships, we've won both. Not only that, if you add football, we're going to get 7 of 8 in. That's going to be a 4th that we qualify for the state playoffs. But right now we're looking good. In that other playoff qualification is soccer. Congrats to the Page soccer team for advancing to the state championships. They play on Wednesday at 6:30 against JCS. Also, the volleyball team of Page had a great showing as well in the volleyball state championships, finishing 3rd right there.
Franklin made it in volleyball to the state tournament as well. I know we talked about it last week, but that was where they were last year, and then I think they had a losing record last year.
That's correct.
And then make it to the AAA state volleyball tournament. That's a heck of a change in just 1 year. So, yeah, looking good.
Coach Amber Holzer has done a wonderful job there. Also, she racked up the District Coach of the Year as well in 11 AAA in volleyball. So congratulations to the Franklin Lady Rebels, the Page Patriots, and the Brentwood Bruins, the 3rd in a row for those guys. All right, let's get on to the football right now. WCS Sports Conference has gone 25-3 in the last 4 weeks. That's pretty stout.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you look at the teams they've been playing, and it just goes to show we keep building schools, and the football level it's really been raised at every school except Brentwood, and they're on the way back up. It's been fun to watch.
Well, Fairview right now 6-3, 4-1 in the region. Lost to Camden the other night, 5-4. They're 5-0, undefeated in region play. Lost to 32-28. Right, came out. They were 28-6 down, came out, scored 22 unanswered points in the 3rd quarter, but fell short on the comeback and lost to the Camden Central Lions. They're 32-28.
Yeah, it did. And that one surprised me. They were really playing well, and it just goes to show they got too far behind, too early, and just came up a little short. It looked like they ran out of gas. I think they were in the lead, and then Camden came back and won it. But Camden's a good football team. That one surprised me a little bit, but hey, they're in the playoffs. Think they can still get a home round or a home playoff in round 1. So Hunter Zimmerman, as long as he's there, they got a chance to win every game, and I think they'll be okay come playoff time.
You're correct. Right now they're sitting in 2nd place. So if they finish out, they will get that home playoff spot in the 1st round. Looking to play at home all the way up until Camden Central if they happen to meet again in the playoffs, which would probably Coach Hughes' wish to play those guys again. You get beat like in the fashion that you get beat in. I would sure hedge my bets with Fairview if they play again in the playoffs. Page 7-2, 4-0, beat White House 31-14. Now think, Page has gone all this way, lost 2 games by a combined total of 2 points. Coach Rathbone right now has a really good ball club.
Yeah, he does, and we got a big one coming up next week there's a lot of big games coming up this week. This one's got to be right up there with it. But you're right, they're playing well. 2 one-point losses against 2 quality programs. BGA was in the D2 1A state championship game last year. Probably be there again this year. So they're playing great, and they stayed. I know I keep harping on it, but last year they were so beat up this time of year last year. I mean, it was the walking wounded. It was a mass unit. They're healthy. The Mike and Mike show playing well. I think this Page team has a chance to be special.
Now we're talking about Page. They went for 2-point conversion against Lipscomb and BGA, dropped both of those, lost those games by 1 point in overtime. Now the question is, you get yourself in a similar situation in the playoffs. What do? Do you go third time's a charm, or do you say, all right, let's go for overtime, double overtime, and see what happens?
I think it's like you mentioned a few weeks ago. A lot go. Are you on the road? You at home? How is it going? But my guess would probably be he obviously likes going for 2. I bet he'd go third time's a charm, right?
Michael Roberts, Michael Magochi, you got those 2 guys. Anything can happen. Centennial moves to 8-1, 6-0, beating Rossview, who's sitting at 6-3, 3-3 in the region, 40-8. Now we talked about Rossview earlier being one of those teams that may sneak in there and try to go for those top 2 positions, but Brentwood and Centennial both have manhandled Rossview.
Oh, yeah. And, hey, this was a game Centennial went in there and took care of business. We expected them to win. They were up 33-0 at the half. A lot of pluses that came out of this game. They averaged as a team, the Cougars did, 7.9 yards per rush. Well, you get 4 downs to get 10. That's a pretty good start right there. Tristan Pisacane, 12 of 18 for 196 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He's playing very well, getting better. They held the Rossview quarterback to 9. Jordan Justice, he's a heck of a player. Put up some good points against they put up 48 points against Beach. He had over 400 yards in that game. They held him for 9-20, passing for 81 yards and an interception. And how about this? As if Tyrell Dodson wasn't as impressive in the first 8 games, he takes the opening kickoff back 80 yards for a touchdown. I think he had a touchdown pass a few weeks ago. The guy can, I don't know, we're going to let him kick next?
Anywhere and everywhere. Mondu Sars had 16 attempts for 182 yards. That 2-headed monster right there of Mondu Sars and Tyrell Dodson. I tell you what, we talk a lot about independence. Centennial right now could go in neck and neck as the 2 favorites to win 5A with Independence.
Yeah, and you look at we talk about it all the time. We got a lot of great coaches in this conference in this county. But if you go back and look at the Brian Rector coach teams back to Ravenwood, they're always get better as the year goes on, and they are getting better. And I think come playoff time, if things stay healthy too, might be looking at an all Williamson County 5A game in Cookeville. That'd be pretty neat.
That would be incredible right now. Centennial's outscoring their opponents 204-60 at halftime. So they're striking early, kind of probably resting in the second half. You hate to use that, but that's really what's happening. Get some of the younger guys, and that's very important as we get down the stretch to maintain your roster, nobody getting hurt.
That's right. And it also helps you in years to come. I mean, you're building depth, and so there's a lot of pluses to it. But the most importantly, this was a game they could have maybe overlooked, and up 33-0 at half. That shows the maturity of this team, and they came to take care of business.
You talk about Tyrell Dodson. When he touches it, it's always special. Having 428 yards rushing total for the year, you think that's just subpar, but think of all the places they're using. But Mondu Sawyer sitting at 943 yards, should eclipse the 1,000-yard mark this coming up week.
That's right. And come playoff time, those carries that Mondu's getting, those are carries that if these are close games or if Mondu's not playing like that, those are carries that are going to be on Tyrell. So Tyrell's fresh going into the playoffs, and there might be a game where he's going to have to carry it 30, 35 times to get to win. Well, he's going to be fresh and ready to do it.
Independence, still perfect. Number 1 in 5A, 8-0, 5-0 in region play, beat Franklin County, who's sitting at 3-6, 2-4, 42-7. Once again, that was another blowout early with Cruz. I mean, I just don't know. It's hard to say. We sit here and talk about these teams. We see them play week in and week out, Tate. The competition, and Coach Blade would probably be the first to tell you, the competition that they're playing right now in that South League, as we like to say, may not be as strong as the North League, but they're still taking care of business.
Oh, man. And to the point where, and I understand it, I'm sure Coach Blade is sitting there at some point going, I'm not really sure how good we are, Now, I think they're really good, but But you're right. I mean, these games, they haven't been tested since the first half of the Summit game. And now that Andrew Bunch is back, 268 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now, it's all going to have a happy ending, and so you can't play the what-if game. But what if he had played 10 games? I mean, he'd have close to 40 touchdowns, maybe more. But
well, he's got 9 in the last 2 games.
Yeah, I mean,
in the first half.
In the first half, that's right.
So not only that, you take 10 games, you multiply how many quarters he's played. I mean, you play those back end of those halves of the games of the blowouts. 40 would be probably an underestimate.
That's
I mean,
right.
It's unbelievable what they have done. They strike quick, they strike out. But the most surprising thing of the whole thing, Tate, is their defense.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another thing on offense. 9 guys caught a pass, 9 receptions. That's it's not just the Andrew Bunch, Nate Johnson show, which he's a big part of it. But 9 guys caught the ball. He's spreading it around. That means he's going down his progressions. It's just a well-oiled machine right now. And you're right. The knock has been on Independence defense. Well, I don't know how many times Franklin County rushed the ball, but they didn't throw one pass against Summit. It was a lot. The run defense, the pass defense is all meshed together. They're married up right now. Independence's defense is playing very well as the offense is.
As much as the publicity that the Texas A&M commit Tyrell Dotson gets, we forget that the Purdue commit Nate Johnson. You want to talk about a weapon. Every time he touches the ball, something special happens. Usually a touchdown results in it. His numbers are not as high as what people would think that a Purdue commit would have. But once again, you're talking about a kid that's probably playing a half.
That's right. And playing a half, and he's maybe getting a third to a half of those balls. So he's a lot like Van. He's a good-looking kid, tall. But what's impressive about him is great route running. And, it's tough enough to guard a guy out there like that when you're a 16, 17, 18-year-old high school cornerback. Then throw on top of it, he runs great routes. That's a mismatch.
Old Sparty Summit falls to 3-6, 2-4, lost to Stewart's Creek, who moves to 6-3, 4-2 in the region, 45-21. Let's play the what-if game. We go back to the Franklin County game. You win the Franklin County game, you can afford to lose this game and go into the Columbia to set up the playoff berth. However, that eliminates them from any playoffs. I know that's devastating to Coach Coleman and his group, something they have not done. They've done a lot of firsts this year. They won their first region game. They won their first home game. They have not won 2 in a row. And that's, this particular game, the Stewart's Creek, we knew Stewart's Creek going in very athletic. They beat a Laverne team that is just as athletic, but unfortunately Coach Coleman's group gets eliminated from playoff competition.
Yeah, they're going to have to wait till next year to get 2 in a row, but so many positives coming out of this year. And this was a matchup that it was not a good matchup for them. Stewart's Creek, they've got a lot of athletes. They run the wing tee like Summit does, and so I still, again, it is what it is. Had the weather not been the way it was against Franklin County, I think Summit gets that win, and we're talking about something else. But, hey, you cannot underestimate or you cannot say enough about the job they did this year. They're kids. They bought in. They never gave up. They fought all the way through, and that coaching staff has done a great job.
Absolutely. Coach Coleman sitting right now thinking, all right, we got to get ourselves, rally the troops, even though our playoffs hopes are on win that last home game against Columbia, which is a definite winnable game. I believe they ought to win the game. I hope that Coach Coleman and his crew thinks and knows that they can win that game.
Oh, without a doubt. And I think they will. And that'll be a big game, I guess that's kind of a border war too, I guess, a little bit. But, they're an athletic team, so they're going to have to show up. Columbia is. They're going to have to show up and play well, but I think they will. Hey, like you said, let's finish this thing off right. Let's finish our last game of the season. Let's win it at home and get ready for next year.
Absolutely. Ravenwood goes to 8-1, 6-0, undefeated, sitting in first place right now. Beat Wilson Central 4-5, 2-4 in region play, 28-6. Will Hester just keeps rolling.
Keeps rolling. And they did it running the ball and passing the ball efficiently like they have in all the games that they've had success in and they've won. 19 first downs. Now, this is against a 6A program in Wilson Central, and they're pretty physical. 19 first downs. Here's the most important thing. No turnovers, 263 rushing yards. Andrew Rapay, he was only 7 of 17 for only 66 passing yards, but 2 of those were touchdowns. No interceptions. So, again, running the ball, not getting us beat in the passing game. And let's give a huge shout out to Carter Nelson, man. We talk about Andrew Rapay. We talk about Connor Jeffries. Connor out. Carter steps in, rushes the ball 27 times for 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. We just keep plugging them in. That's impressive.
Well, you got Chris Rowland right there, too, somebody that we usually talk about. 13 attempts at 57 yards. Chris Rowland is another weapon, that three-headed monster that we usually talk about there. Now, Carter Nelson's going to have to step up to take that third hit, if you will. Going in, they wrapped up the region play there, or wrapped up the region championship by winning. The Ravenwood Raptors should be a favorite in 6A, probably will not be, just because of the fact of this has been a nondescript year for them. This has kind of been under the radar, and it may work in Coach Hester's favor.
That's right. And, hey, we can't forget about the defense. A lot like last year. That's one thing they've got going for them. Playing great defense again. John Thompson leading the way. 10 tackles again the other night. He's got to be right at 100, if not over, for the year. And that's one thing they've got going in their favor. They've still got a very physical, well-oiled defense. So, run the ball, good defense, good kicking game. That usually is a recipe for success in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Franklin Rebels were probably the biggest, I wouldn't say most surprising, but in the fashion that they won, beating Mount Juliet 27-6 in a big region game. Winner gets home field advantage. Franklin takes care of his business to move to 6-3, 4-2 in the region. Drops Mount Juliet 5-4, 4-2 in region play. Big crowd, great atmosphere. Game day was there. The Titans were there. It was a pink out. Man, what a game the Franklin Rebels had.
Oh, yeah, huge win. Mount Juliet's a team that's getting a lot better. Remember, they took Ravenwood to overtime. They've won, I believe, 5 or 6 in a row. We had talked about it on game day. They averaged 281 pounds across the front line. I mean, those guys were huge. And Coach Webb talked about it before the game. That, like you mentioned, all the things going on. It could have been a distraction. It wasn't. Guys came out and played well. And, man, you want to talk about a guy who has grown up. We've got so many great quarterbacks in this league. We've got so many great players. Kyle Evans, first year as the starter. Lanham Craddock, didn't get to play the whole game. He's been leading the way rushing. Kyle Evans, 136 passing yards and 168 rushing yards against a quality Mount Juliet team. Man, you cannot say enough about that. Coach Webb has done an unbelievable job this year.
Unbelievable. Ought to be Coach of the Year if he doesn't get it. He's going to be the WCS Sports Conference. We'll give that to him. Unbelievable job. We had him written off dead in the water. Graduated 30-plus seniors. Franklin will not return, and here they are sitting in second place with home field advantage in region play. Shout out to Harry Douglas, Kendall Wright, Justin Hunter, Doyle Green Breckham from the Titans receiving corps being there. What a great atmosphere it was. The NFL had their pink out. Franklin was selected as one of the 2 games across the state to get that.
Yeah, he was. And you mentioned Harry Douglas. What a great guy, man. Seriously, I mean,
really.
You set that up, and game day is always fun and a great event. Those guys, I mean, they were. If you're not fans of them, after that you got to be, because I mean you could tell they were excited about being there, and they made it fun. And
well, Harry came up. It's funny because Harry came up. And he was by himself at first, and then we were talking to him, and then he just called him out on the air. Yeah. Welcome to the stage. So here they all come up. They were kind of uncertain at first. They wanted to kind of probably stay under the radar while they were there. But once they got up there, man, you're talking about fun. They played up to the crowd. The rebellion was great with them. Harry Douglas went through the pick'ems. Harry picked Franklin on every game, and it's a lot of fun. Vincent's victories, Vincent Haas siding there.
That's right.
A lot of good things happening. Great atmosphere. Congratulations to the Franklin Rebels for winning. All right, let's do the region rundown. Region 3, 6A, Ravenwood stays in first place, beating Wilson Central. Franklin gets second place in home field advantage there, beating Mount Juliet. Mount Juliet falls to third place, 5-4, 4-2. McGavick 5-4, 4-2 right there, tied for second place as well. Be interesting to see how that plays out for those tied for third and fourth slot. Overton 5-4, 3-3, beating Lebanon 27-10. Wilson Central lost to Ravenwood 28-6. Lebanon lost to Overton, and Antioch loses to McGavick 55-14. Which game sticks out to you?
Franklin, Mount Juliet. We thought they'd win, but I didn't think they'd win like that, and then especially the way they had to do it. That was a huge win.
Absolutely.
Region 7, 5A, Henry County 8-1, 6-0, beat Brentwood 21-15. Had to come back to do it. Centennial 8-1, 6-0, beats Rossview 40-8. Brentwood 4-5 in third place. Obviously lost to Henry County. They're 4-2 in the district. Rossview 6-3, 3-3 in the district. A region lost to Centennial. Clarksville Northeast 4-5, beat West Creek 38-12. Dixon County 3-6, 1-5 in the region, beat Clarksville 29-26. Clarksville 1-8 because of the forfeits and 1-5 in the region. Obviously lost to Dixon. And then West Creek bringing up the rear, 1-8, 1-5 in the district or region. Lost to Northeast 38-12. What sticks out to you?
Well, I think that Montgomery County teams have 4 teams in this region. There's going to get 1 in. Rossview's going to be the only one getting in. I think that the Brentwood loss, to me, and the Clarksville, the way they handled Rossview, I think the Brentwood loss may be more of a significant factor to me, just because of the fact that Henry County had to come from behind. I think they exploited some things there. I think Centennial capitalizes on that.
I hope so.
Absolutely. Region 5A, the Southern Region, Indy improves to 8-0, undefeated, 6-0, beating Franklin County 42-7. Lincoln County lost to Laverne 41-13. Shelbyville 6-3, 3-3 beats Columbia 49-31. Franklin County 3-6, 2-4 lost to Indy. Laverne, as we said, got beat by Lincoln County, falls to 5th place 6-3, 4-2. Stewart's Creek 6-3, 4-2 as well, beat Summit 45-21. Summit sitting right now currently in 7th place, and they need to hang on to that if they beat Columbia. Lost to Stewart's Creek, and Columbia in 8th place 3-6, 0-6, lost to Shelbyville 49-31. What sticks out to you?
Really none of them, but I guess the thing that sticks out the most is that how quickly Lincoln County is. They've had some, it just goes to show depth. With the injuries they've had, man, they went from being 2nd place, and now it's not going good at all for them right now. What about you?
I agree. I think that Shelbyville slides into that 2nd place behind Indy and hosts that first round game. I believe that Lincoln County, like you said, they're on that downward spiral. Coach Thomas needs to get those things in. I think also, too, that Laverne in the fashion, 41-13 now.
Right.
We knew that Laverne is very athletic, very explosive, but to lose in that fashion, I don't know. Region 4A, Marshall County, 8-1, 4-0, beats Maplewood 34-33. Only loss came to Overton in the year by 1 point. Page improves to 7-2, 4-0 in the region, beating White House 31-14. The only loss for those guys, 2 of them, by 1 point in overtime. Lawrence County 3-6, 2-2, lost to Lewis County. Giles County 2-7, 1-3, beat Signal Mountain 10-0. Spring Hill 2-7, 1-3, lost to Lipscomb 35-28. Tullahoma has not won a game, 0-9, 0-4, losing to Pearl-Cohn 48-3. What sticks out?
To me, Marshall County, Maplewood going to overtime. Maplewood has not had a good year. Marshall County's had a great year. The fact that they had to come back to get it to overtime and then win in overtime by 1 point, that surprised me.
I agree, and it goes to show you they played some athletes there. It may be the first time all year. I know Spring Hill and Giles County may have some, but they're both on dying ducks, if you will. So the Mike and Mike show may watch that film, may find some chinks in the armor there, and I mean this is up for Titans game of the week. The only other game I can think of in the mid-state right now that's as good as this, if not better, would be Centennial Henry County. But those 2 games right there ought to be something.
Oh, yeah, you can't go wrong with either one of them. And Marshall County's got a quarterback, dual threat quarterback named Ashton Posey. Ashton Posey, Michael Magochi, that's worth the price of admittance right there. Region 6, 3A, Camden, 5-4, 5-0 in the region. Beat Fairview 32-28. Fairview obviously lost to Camden, 6-3, 4-1 in the region. Sycamore 6-4, 4-2, beat Stewart County 42-6. Harpeth 4-5, 2-3 in the region, lost to Cheatham County 22-21. Stewart County 3-6, 1-4 in the region, obviously lost to Sycamore. Cheatham County 2-7, 1-4, got beat Harpeth, and then pulling up the bus, the caboose in the end. East Hickman 1-8, 1-4 in the region. They got a much needed bye.
Well, absolutely, and I think what sticks out to me is the Camden Fairview game. This is a game as a coach you're sitting there thinking, man, we needed to win this game to win the region. I hope that he can rally troops and get this thing back. So let's go into this games for this week. We got Fairview going to Harpeth, 4-5, 2-3. Harpeth is. This is a trap game. I'm telling you right now, you better put everything on DEFCON 5, Coach Hughes, because I really think that we got to get ourselves mentally prepared. We've been rolling after that loss. We got ourselves back after the Sycamore loss, get ourselves back into this thing, or the Creekwood loss rather, to get ourselves in position. We lose this big game against Camden. You got to rally your troops. You got to win out, get that home field, and anything can happen.
Yeah, and Harpeth is. I was surprised they lost to Cheatham County, so they're mad. They're going to be coming in mad, and they got a lot to play for. So you're right. They need to take this one serious. I think they will. Again, got to get this thing back right, get in playoff mode.
Page 7-2, 4-0 at Marshall County. I'm telling you, this is going to be a knockdown, drag out. It's going to be awesome.
This game's going to come down to turnovers, period. Whoever turns the ball over the least will win.
Weather could play a factor. Brentwood 4-5, 4-2 versus Clarksville. I don't see any troubles there. I know this, you hate to say trap game here too, but Brentwood's got to get themselves mentally prepared once again after coming off a loss. They ought to have their confidence up, even though they got beat. But you got beat by a very high quality team. Ought to take care of business against Clarksville.
Yeah, you got a lot to play for. You can finish with a winning record, or not a losing record. They can finish 5-5 and go into the playoffs on a winning note. So a lot to play for. Number one priority, keep getting better.
Franklin 6-3. This could wrap up second place for them. Take care of business at Lebanon 3-6, 1-5. Doctor defense, you got to dial up one more time to get that home playoff field.
Hey, and this is a game they can win and should win, and I think will win. Hey, at the beginning of the year, any Rebel fan or Doctor defense, if we told them 7-3, they'd have taken that.
All right, number one Independence staying perfect against at Laverne, who is sitting at 6-3, 4-2. No troubles there.
Independence is going to be firing on all cylinders on offense.
Centennial 8-1, 6-0 versus Henry County. Man, this could be the game of the year.
Slobber knocker.
Absolutely, it's going to be a great one. That is at home for Centennial. Summit goes, at home against Columbia. Last game of the year for those guys. Basically, for last place, you do not want to be in last place.
Nope, and border war, bragging rights.
Absolutely. Ravenwood 8-1, 6-0 versus winless Antioch.
Antioch is worse than Lebanon, and you remember what I said before the Ravenwood-Lebanon game.
Close to a bye week.
That's right.
Closest thing to a bye week. All right, here we go. Pick'ems. I'm sitting at 28-7. You're sitting at 30-5. I picked up a game. The Yellow Jackets of Fairview at Harpeth.
Yellow Jackets.
Yellow Jackets, I agree. Trap game, be close, very close. Come on, Coach Hughes. Get the troops rally. Page at Marshall County.
Comes down to a 2-point game, 2-point conversion. Page, third time's the charm, gets the win.
I disagree with you. I think Page wins, but I think that Page wins by a touchdown. Mike and Mike show rolls at Marshall County. Brentwood versus Clarksville.
Brentwood gets their 5th win of the season. Bruins.
Absolutely. They get to 5-5 on the season overall. Franklin at Lebanon.
Dr. Defense gets the 7th win of the season. The Rebels.
Absolutely. Coach of the year ought to go to Dr. Defense. Independence, do they stay perfect against Laverne?
They do, but it's going to be a good game, but Indy wins.
I think that Bunch and those guys will play the second half of this game just because of athleticism. Laverne, they go ahead and pull away by 3 touchdowns. Centennial versus Henry County.
Centennial gets after them.
I think they get after them. I think they win by 2 touchdowns. Coach Rector, hold me to that one. Summit, Old Sparty at Columbia. Do they finish in 7th place out of last?
Old Sparty finishes the season on a high note.
Sparty party going into next year wins that game as well. Ravenwood at Antioch.
Rapay's eating popcorn by halftime.
There's nothing I can say to top that. Ravenwood wins. This has been the WCS Sports Connection. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
My name is Ethan, and this is my book, Stories of the Clone Wars Adventure. I chose this book because it has lots of action and funny parts in it. And one day my mom just got this for me, and I liked it. I think lots of people would like this because it has lots of fighting and action and a lot of cool stuff in it.
Bye-bye.